Hello, hello, everybody. All right. Hello, 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 everyone. Y'all know the drill. Hi, Lisa. All right. Coordinating the two machines. Always not my strong point. Hi, Ruth. How are you? I had a lot of fun doing these and learning how to do these. They're really, everybody says, oh God, they're so hard. They're so hard to do. They're not hard to do, but there are some do's and some don'ts. So we will cover all that, but I'm going to give everybody just a few minutes to get on. And okay, so my number one thing that I'm going to tell you is do not buy. Okay, well, I don't want to say do not buy them. The hog ones are problematic. I'm still working that out because at the top there's a seal. So essentially you can remove the center part, do decoration, glittering, which I will be doing that later on. Oh, why? I just started the live. I mean, I literally just started like 2 minutes ago, Lisa. Sometimes it's better, rather than trying to get in from the event page, and I don't know why this happens, but this continually happens with Facebook. When you go to the event and then you want to view the event, it just won't work. It just doesn't work. So what I've been doing is I go live from the main group, and then I will link the link for the tutorial into the event page. So when I say I'm going to do live and you want to watch it live, make sure that you come to the main group and just, you know how like everybody has little pictures of their, you can search for my name up at the top. And then, or if you see my link, for an event and it has my photo on it, just click the photo. What that will do is it'll take you to my page, my Tumblr Poxy, all my comments, everything there. And then just scroll through and you will find all my lives, anything I've ever commented on. And this has been going on for 2 years. So it's just kind of like one of those things. I don't know what's up with Facebook. I don't know why it does what it does. It is so irritating. But anyhow, all right. So let me see. Okay, back to what I was saying. So the hog ones, they're a pain in the butt. I'm not going to lie. They are such a pain in the butt because you're basically having to disassemble, and then reassemble. And in order to get the seal right, you're going to have to pop UV epoxy around the rim. So I'm going to do an entire live devoted to doing the hog ones, or hog, or however you say it. I found these acrylic tumblers on Amazon, and I was curious because they, to me, were very inexpensive. And let's face it, the Starbucks ones are crazy, mad expensively. You can pay like $25 for one of these from Starbucks. So what I did was I bought an 8-pack, and I do believe that they have bigger packs, but it comes in a box like, you get 8 of them, in there, and straws. So, and they're, you know, they're packed pretty well. They all come in a little bubble. I'll take one out so you guys can see fresh out of the box. So it comes in a little bubble wrap. There are no boxes. So that means you're going to have to get boxes for these. And then there's a plastic wrap. And then, so actually I'm going to need 2 for today. So I'll take this one out. And then you can actually decorate your top if you want to, or leave it. I haven't decided what I'm going to do with these. I might actually do like a beachy one and put some shells on here and stuff. It will take UV resin really well. So anyhow, and I always put my lid inside my bag and then I put it back in my box, because I don't know about you guys, but I am horrible when it comes to picking up things and then putting them down, and particularly in this mess of a craft room that I have. I've lost things. It's like, oh, I know I have that. Now, where the heck did I put it? I don't know. I can't find it. So, anyhow, this is really cool. This is the one I really love. And we're going to go over everything. So, let's start off with the cup that you get. So, these cups are really good. They're 8 for, I believe it was $35. 32, 35, I can't 100% remember. I will put a link up for you guys when I'm all done. So, and they're really good. I mean, I don't have any. I've done 2 of these so far. I've had absolutely no leaking at all. They're great. Like, and a lot of times they'll say that they leak around the top seal. What I did was I put some of my solution in here, which is straight baby oil. That's all I use. Straight baby oil. I'm telling you, the mixing of the glycerin and the water in the whole business there is a pain. First of all, it's a pain in the butt. Secondly, you do run a mold chance. So there is a possibility that your beautiful work is going to mold because it's water. And, well, let's say water and air create bacteria. We don't know what's on the glitter. Like, is it got some dust on it? Like, you don't know. We don't clean our glitter, so we don't know what's on there. And I'm like one of those people who I'm always wondering, well, what if? What if this happens? What if this molds? Boy, my customer is going to be mad if this molds. So let's just avoid the molding and not do glycerin and water or whatever else, baby glue, glue and water. Oh my God, no. And to get a nice flow, there's this fight with the glycerin and the water, or the glue in the water, and you got to mix it up, and then you got to pour it in, and it's just, and to get the flow that you want. This, I would say, gives like a medium flow. It's not really fast. It moves nice. You can also do, what do you call it? Sensory toys for kids. Like if your kids have like autism, things like that. These are wonderful for the children because it will just occupy them forever. And it's very soothing to watch. I mean, seriously, I made this one and I sat there for like 2 hours watching it. It is so soothing and nice, and it moves so slow, but fast enough that it doesn't take forever for it to go down. Okay, so we got like 18 people on, so make sure you say hi. If you see the little red live button, it does mean I'm live. I will answer whatever questions that you have if I know the answers. If not, and you're coming in late, please hashtag replay so that I know that you watched the video, and then give me feedback, guys. I really like feedback a lot. Some people will say, oh, well, I like the class. Well, that's awesome, and I love that, but tell me how I can do better for you. Make sure that I'm explaining things to you guys well, that you're understanding what I'm saying, because it's hard, you know, with anybody who crafts. If you've done this a few times, it kind of gets ingrained in your head where, oh, I know how to do this. Okay, let me show everybody how to do this, but you may not know how to do it. So it's kind of like going slow enough so that you understand, but not at a turtle's pace, so you're getting bored and you're falling asleep during the live. So please, if you don't want to post it in a group, that's fine. Private message me. I'm always grateful for feedback. It's how we learn, how we grow. And I do plan on actually starting some professional. I'm going to start a page eventually, for more classes and things like a Patron sort of a thing. But I will be mostly working from the Tumbler Epoxy group because I love it here and I love all the cool stuff. Okay, so who's ready? We ready? I'm going to get down to it. Who else is? I see Lisa, I see Ruth, and I see 19 people, but I have no idea if you're here. So please say hi. Don't be shy. I don't bite people hard. And I do love it if you ask me questions. If you don't understand something, let me know. The one thing that I don't want you to do while I'm live is go, but I do it this way. Because that's awesome, and I love the fact that it works for you or something's working for you, but don't confuse people because I'm trying to teach one technique. However, if you want to come in after the class and put a little notation and say, hey, I've tried it this other way and this works for me, way to go, definitely, because we want to keep the flow. Okay, so the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to get your tumbler and you're going to take the lid off. I'm going to put these to the side. Okay. Before I do that. No, actually, I'm going to continue because I want to show you guys something before I start putting glue in. Okay, so the first thing is you're going to take your cap off. And then the next thing you're going to do is you need to put a hole in the bottom of the tumbler somewhere. And some people drill in the middle, and I did it two different ways. I put one way on the side edge, and then I put one on this one. I put one right here, so it's in just a little bit, because I didn't like having the hole way over here. It was really precarious for me, particularly putting the glue and then the UV epoxy, and I was just trying to plug the bottom of the, just plug the hole. And on this one, I don't know if you can see, I'm going to have to sand this down gently more. I didn't like the fact that it bubbled up. It also tried to come over the side and drip over the side when I UV epoxied this, so I didn't like that at all. These cups do not have much of a ledge. There's a tiny, tiny little indentation here. So we want to have our hole somewhere within where this indentation is, because at the end, and I honestly found this to be true, I covered the whole bottom. This one is not covered. This is just the glue and the UV epoxy here over the hole. And then I kind of smoothed it out so that it didn't look like, oh, hey, there's a big hole there. And then I said, you know what? I don't like that. I don't like how that looks. Let me try and make it more uniform. So what I did was, as I mixed, and we're going to do that today, I mixed a small amount of UV epoxy and some glitter. I first covered the hole and I plugged that well, and then I covered the whole bottom of it, and it looks awesome. It's nice and smooth. I don't have any problems. This might need one more coat, because you don't need to put a regular epoxy on these, because it's a double-walled acrylic tumbler. If you want to decorate it, you can put permanent vinyl on here. It will work perfectly fine. It will last just, with a good quality vinyl. Permanent vinyl, and we have a nice vendor who does that, and she gives us nice discounts. Okay, so anyhow, let me get these to sink down while we're doing our putting our hole in. Okay, so one of the problems with acrylic tumblers is they are plastic, essentially. They're acrylic plastic, okay? These are not meant to take a lot of stress. They're not meant to get a strong vibration. So I found that trying to drill into one of these, first of all, you don't have a lot of space in here when you're going to do a drill. You have to start with a small drill bit, work your way up to a big drill bit, or you run the risk of puncturing and cracking your cup. Second point is, because you don't have a lot of space here, when you have a drill and you're using that big heavy drill and it comes down and it pierces through here, it kind of like does this jerk motion. It is highly probable and very very possible that you're going to hit that inner wall one. You may puncture that. If that happens, your cup is toast. And you just wasted, I don't know, $5. Because like the 8-pack is 30, let's say it's $35. You know, you're getting 8 cups. Well, 35 divided by, you know, $5. That's, I'm sorry, 35 divided by 8. You know, it's like $4.55 a cup. So that you don't want to waste your money. So I found an easier way. Haven't had any problems. I used to do a lot of wood burning back ages ago, and I almost threw this out. I had it all ready to go in the rubbish. So this is a wood burning tool. You can pick these up at Michael's, Joann's, on Amazon. This is a cheapo one. And they come with attachments. So they come with all kinds of little thingies that you put on the end. Uh-oh. Hang on a minute. Take us. They have pointy tips. They have letters. They have all kinds of different stuff. So I highly suggest that you get one that has a screw in. And then one of the attachments that I got, which was actually just a dot. And you just screw this in here. Do this one. This is not turned on because you will burn yourself. It gets hot. If you think hot glue is hot, don't ever touch the end of one of these. Trust me. I know I don't need to say that, but you do. Okay, now you're ready to go. This will make the perfect hole, guys. This size here, I don't know, it just came, it's a dot. It came in the kit. It came with the package. So again, check them out. The first one that I did, I used, hang on a second. Let me get this turned on so it can start heating up. The first one that I got, I have a bunch of these. I used, a lot of them have this pointy one. This, personally, it made a mess because I was coming in. You have to go slow. You have to keep going around, and you start off with a little hole, and then you have to keep kind of circling to make a bigger hole. The problem is that as it's making the hole, it's pushing up the plastic, and then you have to kind of come in, you got to get it off, and it's pain, and you know, but if that's all you have, it will work. You just need to go slow. And I do recommend that you kind of brace your hand. Don't touch anything in here or this metally bit, and hold your hand back far enough. This is not the one we're using. We're going to use this one. It helps if I turn it on, though. This one, the minute that you plug it in, it starts getting hot. This other one has like a safety feature, turn on, you know, an on-off little switch. This is a little bit more than this one. This one I did get on Amazon. This I got at Michael's. And then I have another one that I got at like Joann's, and it's essentially the same thing as this. Okay, so again, you're going to make a little hole. You're going to come around. I'm telling you, and it's no faster than doing the drill. It's no faster than doing the drill. The reason that I really recommend that you do the, I'm sorry, I didn't see all the comments. Hey, Dorothy. It is cold. Well, it was cold here today. I'm freezing. That's why I have my tumbler epoxy sweatshirt on. This is called a snow globe tumbler. Hot fix tool works fine. It's essentially the same thing. It's a wood burning tool. Yes. Okay. Sorry, I didn't see the scroll. All right. So you're gonna let this get hot. Again, you don't want to touch this. And then you want to decide where you want to put your hole. Okay. So I put the first hole way over on the edge. I didn't like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in and I'm going to put my hole right here. And the way that we're going to do this is we're just going to pick our spot. The minute that this touches surface, it is going to start to cool off. So we're going to have to do this a couple times. So I don't want to go too close. I'm going to put it right here and I'm going to come straight down and I'm going to hold it here for a couple seconds and you can actually feel it penetrating. This isn't hot enough yet. And then you want to reposition it exactly in the same spot. You don't need to push down hard. You just need to hold it there for a minute. Okay. And now when you pull it off, it's going to make these little shard kind of things. Don't worry about that. You can use something to wipe this off, but I wait till I'm done. I just pull these shards off. This just takes a couple of minutes to do, like I said. The other reason that we're doing this is we don't want to burn our... This is hot, so there's no temperature gauge on here. So you want to make sure that you're not getting a burning kind of a thing going on. And I'm really not going to talk while I'm doing this because... Also, taking it away and not holding it there will also slow down from burning. If you hold it there for too long, what it's going to do is the plastic on the edge, you can see a little bit of the black part, a little bit of the burn. But the benefit of using one of these opposed to the drill is the vibration of the drill can crack your cup. Just the vibration alone can crack your cup, or it can break your seal up here. That's why I'm using this. I've yet to have an issue with leaking since I started doing it this way. We're getting to the edge here where I'm sorry, the end here where it's almost ready to go through. So I'm moving. I'm going to take this away. Then I'm going to kind of quickly come around flat and smooth out this part that's sort of sticking up. You can see here it's kind of sticking up a little bit. We're just going to clean that up. When we're done, you're not even going to see it because we're going to cover the bottom. But it's almost through. And there we go. Okay, now I'm going to take my X-Acto and a pair of tweezers. You only have a few seconds while this is still hot. And this might not be... You don't want to touch it with your fingers though, because it's hot. You're just going to pull out whatever part you don't need in there. It does heat up. It does cool off very quickly. So if you're finding that you have like a chunk or something like that, just quickly hit it with your heat again. Okay, now we have our hole. Now we're going to clean up our edge. Now you really can't do it with the X-Acto blade because it's really, really hard. So I just do it with this. Or you could use the tip of another one, like one of these pointy tips. Or you see that smoking there. That means that there's plastic on here, and I don't want to do that. So I have a little silicone mat back here, and what I do is I just wipe it off on my silicone mat because silicone is heat proof. Just get it all still. All right, now I'm just gonna, this is where you want to be careful, and you're just gonna come in and you're just gonna kind of smooth that down. Don't leave it on there for too long. I just want to make it nice and flat. Don't be afraid to take your time. It's not a race. When I have found the more things that I rush, the bigger mess that I make. And then I end up getting myself in trouble. You want to make sure your hole is there. You get a good hole. Like I said, it's a little dark. If you take it slower and you just kind of press this down just slowly and then lift it right up, what it does is it melts the plastic, but it does not burn. I did this one a little quick. What I'm just doing now is I'm just making sure that my hole is there. All right, now. And again, if you want to pick off anything that you don't need. Yay, okay, so we have our hole. And we do it again. Because we're going to do 2 of these. 2 different styles. Right, when you have the drill, what it's doing is it's shaking the cup and it will break the seal. There's a small seal between, I'm sorry, I was pointing over here, like thinking you were there, right here. There's actually a seam. And chances are that's where it's going to crack. Or it's going to break your seal. So, again, like I said, I stopped doing a drill because, well, I was tired of wasting cups. Now, I don't recommend using paper towels to clean your tips. But because it will burn it. But I want it to clean off this tip. You want to get any debris off of the tip before you start the next cup, because that plastic that's on there will burn, and it will continue to burn. And then it, you know, like I said, if you're doing something super light, you're going to need to go a lot slower. I would recommend getting, if you make a lot of these, it's totally worth getting like a real professional wood burning kit tool, because you can set the temperature and go much slower. And if I miss a question that you guys have, please re-ask it, because all right. I always clean these little string things off as I go, just because they're thin and they'll have a tendency to burn a little bit. And again, you know, with any tool that you use, there's like hinky parts. You know, drills, you have to be super careful. You got to size that, go from small to big. You have to watch your vibration levels. I had heard that sometimes if you stuff the cup with like a dish towel or something like that before you drill it, it slows the vibration down. I don't know. I never did it. And honestly, I have arthritis really bad in my hands and my wrists. So trying to hold a big drill with one hand and hold a cup with another hand, that doesn't work so good for me. Now, the second you notice here, I'm not getting any burning, but you see I'm only doing a small bit. Again, you gotta kind of, sometimes, you know, don't be surprised like if you wreck one cup trying to do this. And if you wreck the cup, then by all means go ahead and practice on the bottom just to learn how long you need to hold it and how quickly you need to lift it. I'm finding I count 3 or 4 to 4, 3 to 4, and then I lift. Just because it stops it from burning. 1, 2, 3, 4, lift. Is it slower? Yeah, it's a little bit slower. But again, this isn't a race. This is not about racing to get it done. And when you hurry, you do run a risk of messing up your work. So Heather, try that and see. Let me know how it worked for you. Hey, Jennifer. I have 0 burning on this right now, doing it when I count to 3. 1, 2, 3, and lift. And I'm getting absolutely, ooh, and it popped. I've never seen that happen before. That's really wild. But there's absolutely 0 burning on this, unlike this one, from holding it too long. And I don't mind making mistakes or screwing something up so you guys learn. So these I held longer, maybe like to 5 or 6, you know, to the count of 5 or 6. This I'm only doing to 3, and it's working perfectly. The longer this is on, you know, it gets hot. So that said, do be careful. 1, 2, 3. I'm almost pierced through. I'm also not getting as much of a buildup around the edge as I got before. There is some, but that's okay. I don't care about that. But just make sure you clean off your tip. I think that's another reason that, like, when you're using a heat tool, if there's any plastic, any debris on here, you're going to find that it starts to darken it because it's constantly, it's getting hotter, and so therefore it's going to burn quicker. So this is absolutely the way. I'll add a little more pressure, and we just went through. You could pierce this and let this piece fall in. I don't like that look. Drives me crazy, so I'm just weird like that. Ouch. Don't touch the metal bits. Okay. So we're almost done with this tool. I'm just going to clean up my edge. Get it smoothed down. Again, our epoxy is going to take care of this. It's going to, but I want it smooth to the cup. I don't want ridges, because trying to sand this is a pain. And again, this is just the way that I do it. If you find something else works for you, that's awesome. Ooh. Did you see how that popped down through there? That's a big risk. And it's also a big risk when you're using a drill, because a drill is a heck of a lot heavier than one of these. So you do run the risk of piercing your inner seal. Okay, so we're all done with that part. I have 2 ready. Make sure when you put this down, a lot of when you purchase one of these, it comes with like a little stand. It's really good, but this will stay hot for quite some time. So make sure that you set it off to the side. I also, another thing I neglected to say, and I should have, when I put in my attachment, I don't like screw this in like so tight. I put it in enough so that it's stable and it's going to stay there. But I will want to remove this at some point and put another tip in here. So if you put this in really hard, it's like the thing on the heat gun, you know, like when you add it, it will fuse from the heat. So we don't want that to happen. So what I do is you're going to set this aside. And do make sure that you do it safely, please. This is hot. Heat can cause fires, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so now we have this. It's a little bit jagged. I missed a couple spots. So what I'm just going to do is this is just an old nail file that I have here. And I'm just going to come around here. I do this first because I'm like one of those people is you clean up as you go. And then you have your nice smooth top. And then I do alcohol. I'm an alcohol freak. I love alcohol. I only use 99 alcohol. You get it on Amazon if you can't find it at your local store. 93 in a pinch if I can't find anything else. But 99 is the best because it dries almost instantly. Make sure you close the lid because it will like evaporate. Okay, so that one's all done. This one here needs a little sanding. I'm so excited to do this for you guys. I am even more excited to do next week's class. So next week's class is going to be a design class. And showing you how to design a B cup. Gonna do this. Isn't that cool? And then I'm gonna use tumbler tape to cut it, and it's gonna be awesome. Super excited. But once you have that class out of the way, you're gonna know you're gonna be able to do anything, not just B cups. Just making sure that I get this smooth. It's about time for a new nail file. So once I'm done with my old nail, for my fingernails, not that I have any because I craft, and then there's bits that are still good, then I just consign them into the craft room because, well, there's still some life in them. All right. Now, the next thing I'm going to tell you is when you're putting your glitter in your little shapey things in here, and that size whole thing, which I don't know, I'll measure it after. Somebody reminds me. It's the perfect size. It's the perfect size to put your glitter in here, and you can even put shape glitter. Little polymer pieces, things like that will fit through this hole. Where sometimes the drill bit's too small, doesn't really work. I can't wait to do the Halloween ones, but I figured it was just a little bit early for doing Halloween. Of course, never too early in my book for Halloween. All right. There's my tape. Okay, so the next thing I do is I put tape around the edge. Why do I put tape around the edge? Because it keeps my glitter from falling all over the place. The other thing that we want to show you first quickly is less is more. You really only want to use chunky glitter or a tiny bit of fine glitter, because fine glitter will clog up your machine, basically your cup. The amount that you put in, that's up to you, but I did it two ways. I put a little bit, and then I put about this much. So I like this. I think this works great. I think this cup would have been better if I had some larger, like, shaped glitter or some polymer pieces in here. I want to do an ocean theme on this. And I'm a little disappointed. Unfortunately, once you seal the cup, you really can't open it up again. I suppose you could come in here with, you might be able to do it once you glue it, like you use hot glue to plug the hole and then you use your UV epoxy. Some people use tape, like clear tape. I tried that. I had no luck with it and it just kept leaking and I'm like, got no time for that. So yeah, there's really no way to do that unless, again, like I said, you know, with the heat gun, you could come in. The problem is that your baby oil is in here and you're going to fill that with your baby oil like as much as you possibly can and get out every bit of air that you possibly can. There will be some. It's just the nature of the beast. And like, it should be like that when you're done. If you can see, like, it just barely, like there's just barely some bubbles up here, which is great because the bubbles actually are what make it flow. If you don't have an air bubble in there, a small one, your glitter's just going to kind of stay in one spot. It really doesn't move around too good. So I like that, and I was satisfied with that air bubble that was in there. Okay, so now we're going to fill them up. Fill them up. So what I do is I take my tape and I'm going to go just around the edge here, like so. And had it been, so I've got this on here, so then I just pull this off of here. And then I'm going to take my other piece of tape and I'm going to kind of make like a cap for this. I'll show you what I'm talking about. I'm going to stick these two bits together like that. And then I'm going to fold this down like that. So it's half. It's about half. Because I don't really want my glitter sticking to my tape. I mean, you will get a little bit that does that, but then I have like this kind of a thing, and I'm not going to put my glitter back on this side, or you can fold this down like so and attach it. So then you just have a little barrier for your glitter. The amount of glitter, like I said, the amount of glitter that you put in is totally up to you. I do suggest if you're going to use shapes, you kind of put those in first. But before you do that, you're going to get your baby oil. Now, this is just cheap CVS brand. You're going to need, so with one of these bottles, you're going to get, I'm hoping I can get another one out of this. I'm not sure if I have enough, and I hope I can. I hope I do. But you need about 4 ounces of baby oil. Ouch. In one of these. And this, I can't remember how much this is. Hang on a second. It's an 18-ounce cup. So it takes about 4 ounces. 4 to 4.5 ounces. Now, the next trick is, well, how am I going to get oil in here? Yeah. So what I did was, I have some of these. This is called a pipette. You can pick these up on Amazon, medical supply places, fairly inexpensively. If you make a lot of snow globes, you can reuse this. I just wash them out and then let them dry. And then medicine cup. Medicine cup is just strictly so that I can keep track of how much I'm using. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure 1 ounce out. And then you're going to tilt your cup sideways And you're going to bring it right up to the hole. And don't push this down against the inside. The inside, what do you call it? Damn. You know, like the second level here. You don't want to press that up against. You want to have it elevated just slightly. Or you can kind of tuck your tip down and then just gently squeeze. Now I'm doing this part first because I found that when I put my glitter in, if there is fine glitter, it tends to drop right down all the way to where it won't go any further. And then that glitter never seems to come off the edge. I'll show you with this one. I'm going to let this sink out and then I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. This one I did it the other way and I do have a little bit, but if you shake it, it will come down. Again, it's all about, you know, if you don't mind the look, then that's fine. But so I put in the first ounce. And it goes pretty quickly. It does go pretty quickly. And then before you put your glitter in, what you're going to do is you're going to clean the top of your cup again. You're going to need to do that a few times. So I figured since this is Pride Month, I'm going to make a rainbowy kind of one. Okay, so this is 1 ounce. This is where 1 ounce goes to in this cup. I do recommend putting this down on paper towel because what a mess. Then I'm going to wipe my inside. I go through. I need to like have stock in the Bounty paper towel because that's the only paper towels that I use when I'm doing crafting for the most part. Unless I'm cleaning. Cleaning, I'll get the cheap ones. But for cupping, stuff like that, I do the Bounty. And the reason I do the Bounty is because it doesn't leave little, well, at least for me, it doesn't leave like those weird little paper dust particles. And we all know that dust is a pain. Okay. And then I just set that off to the side and I keep it. Okay, so I have some pink unicorns, which I thought would be really cute. So we're going to add some pink unicorns. And what you do is you just kind of, I'll show you. Take a few, you know, like, I don't know, maybe a teaspoon's worth. Maybe a little more. Because I just have pink unicorns. And then you just take it. You can tap it like this. You're basically getting them to go down into the hole. Yeah, I use my finger most of the time just to kind of push them in. Shoot. Hang on 1 second. Let me unplug my phone, unplug the battery. I'm gonna move you guys down a little bit. There we go. This is like one of those things where the first one I did, it was like, oh, this is kind of fun. And then after that, it was kind of like, oh my God, this is a pain in the butt. But if you tap it and you keep your glitter right over the hole, what it will do is it will hopefully come down. Sometimes you need to kind of help it. So what I do is I just kind of, they'll jam up. And that's true with even the glitter. It will kind of jam up a little bit in the hole. So that's why you don't want to like stuff it full. You want to just kind of, and then if you tip it sideways, what it will do, or one way or the other, it doesn't matter how you tip it, as long as, I lost my paper plate. My paper plate catches my glitters that fall off. taking out because these unicorns, they're a little bigger than what I thought. And I don't want the whole cup to just be full of unicorns here. So you're going to need probably an ounce of glitter to start with, of some colors. You know, I'm talking about total. And then check it and see if that is enough or if you want more. You can't take it out once you put it in. So, like anything, it's better to start with less and then let it, you know, and adjust from there. Again, if you've got questions, please ask. I'm telling you though, I thought, I was really terrified. I for a long time, I would not do one of these cups because I just didn't want to deal with the drill. I honestly didn't. I was terrified of the drill because I know how my hands are. And with the arthritis, it makes it so hard sometimes. And then I'm like, okay, there's got to be an easier way. Because I was afraid that I was going to, first of all, I was afraid I was going to crack my cup. But more than that, I was afraid because of the weight of the drill that it would actually pierce the inner piece, the inner acrylic. And I was like, And then it just popped in my head, and I was like, wait, I can use that wood burning tool, which is also great if you have one that's heat adjustable, which I happen to, for kind of getting through epoxy, like if you make a mistake with a name or something like that, just to warm that epoxy up right over that letter. I've done that too. Okay. Now, don't worry about, like, if everything just sort of goes on one side, don't worry about that, because once you get the fluid in there, it will totally spread out. This is like the heart. I personally feel like this is like the most tedious part of it is loading it up with the glitter. Because, yeah. Pink unicorns. You can always come back in and add more later. If you don't feel that that's enough of these. The glitter itself goes in a little easier, I think. But these things, I don't know what, I mean, they're, I'm sure they're like polyester. But boy, I'll tell you, they do not want to, they just don't want to go in there. And they fit in the hole just fine. Like they're fitting in the hole just fine. Also, don't tip this too far sideways because you do have your fluid in here. Oh, here's what I was going to show you. See? Like how that, like that stuck up in there. I'm talking about way up here. I just didn't like it. So that's why I started loading, putting a little oil in there. So hopefully it doesn't go all the way down. Just makes it easier. All right, so now I'm going to start with my colors. So I decided I was going to do a rainbow. Rainbow-ish kind of thing. I wish I had rainbow unicorns. That would be really cool. And then what I do is I just take a little glitter. You can put it in a medicine cup if you want to disperse it, but it's all the same. And you can try pouring it in the hole, which I don't recommend that. I just take and I sort of put, let me show you what I did. I just kind of filled the middle part up with glitter, and then I'm just going to tap. And just keep moving it around and tapping. And it goes down the hole. And then use your finger to push the glitter up But that thing with the tape, it really helps because then you don't have like the whole, all your glitter's not sticking to the sticky tape. Okay, so there's our red. Well, it's a reddy pink. Now we're going to try orange. Actually, I wanted some of this red too. So this has some fine in here. Most of these chunky glitters do have some fines in them. So do be careful with that. You do not want a lot of fine glitter. Trust me, you just don't. It's going to clog up your works. And like I said, most chunkies do have some fine in them. Now I have a random mixture of glitters from a bunch of different places. I have BJ's glitter, I have Crafty Cloud glitter, I have Southern Sassy Sparkles glitter, I have Glitter Heart glitter, I have, yeah, I don't know. But it was more for me about getting the colors that I wanted. You didn't miss a lot. I showed you how to put the hole in. And now we're filling. And you can always watch the replay because it'll be available. I'm just tapping. Oh, and it's coming out. It doesn't matter what I do. I still end up with glitter all over me. I don't know about you guys. Like, I mean, I have glitter all over my house. I have glitter in my bed. I don't know. It's just a thing. It's like glitter is the herpes of the crafter world. Never goes away once you get it. And if you use it, everybody else gets it too. All right, so there's my orange. Now we're going to do some yellow and some gold. Now, I only, believe it or not, and now it's funny when you do something like this, you start to learn how much colors that you're actually going to need. So I don't know if this is going to work. This color is called, it's by BJ's, it's called Squeeze the Lemon. And it's kind of I think it's like one of those iridescent ones. So I don't know how this is going to, oh, actually it's working. Because then I had this medium glitter, which I really didn't want to use if I didn't have to. Because I'm trying to stick to the chunkies. I used to try and push it in, and it took forever. And then I found that by having this little rim around here, you can tap it pretty aggressively and it will go in. And then occasionally, just like I said, just run your finger over the inside of the cup. And what it does, it pushes all that glitter down. So now we're starting to get some colors in here. All right, so there's our yellow. Now on to green. So I have this beautiful blue lagoon. It's kind of a green and a blue, and I did want to add some of that, but I'm not going to put a whole lot of that in there. Just a little bit. Like I said, I'm using probably a teaspoon-ish of the glitter to start. You can always come back and add more, but you don't want to you really do not want to over glitter, because if you do, you're not going to get the movement in there. And like I said, this was way too little, like way too little. I'm going to figure out how to put re-put the hole in there so that you can add more glitter. I might end up having to like do the hole and then pull out some of the oil. Well, we'll see. But this was a really decent amount of glitter. I was really pleased with that and how it moved. I love the movement. Okay, so that was my green. Now I'm doing this beautiful dress blue. This is like a navy. It's like a lighter navy color. I don't know for sure. This is again by BJ's. About a teaspoon. Again, teaspoons. Teaspoons are your friends. You guys have, thanks Lisa. I would love it if you guys, when you guys make one, please post pictures. Or if you're worried about the group or something like that, which I never worry about Tumblr Epoxy Group because it is like one of the most supportive, wonderful groups. No drama, no, you know, like it's just amazing. So, but if you don't want to do that, send it to me privately. I'm really happy to. I'm really happy to see your pictures. I think that's awesome. I think I need more blue. I just really... So to add another teaspoon of that. And then I have a little bit of this. This is beautiful. I want to do a beach one. Like, would that not be awesome to do like a beach colored one? And maybe find like some little shells or something that would fit inside. I think that'd be awesome. When I do the Hogue one, I actually would love to do a beach. So that will be a 2-part tutorial because the first one will be doing the inside of the cup thing. And then we'll fill it. And then this Halloween, I'm planning in the fall one where we do like the bloody drippy one. These ones here on Amazon, I'm not kidding, they're really good. They're really good. I don't know what everybody's complaining about because I really like them. And I think it's because they're using the drill. I honestly do. I will try and find the link. I bought my wood burner like a long time ago, but I'll try and find a link with the correct tip that you want on there, that little round one, because it was like so good. I think I got that at, actually, I think I got that kit at Michael's, and it came with, like letters, like, let me show you. Bloody hell. Oh, I guess I'm not going to show you. I guess I'm not going to show you because it's not right here. Anyhow. Okay, so now we have 2 greens. We have this beautiful avocado toast color. And, oh wait, where's my other green? Okay, I'm starting to get a lot of glitter in here, so I'm actually not going to do that because I still have my purple to get in here. Because it's starting to get like a lot of glitter, and I don't know for sure. We'll see how this goes, but I really want to do the rainbow thing. I think next time what I'll do is I'll pre-mix my glitter in a medicine cup. You can always mix like 2 of these, which would be like a total of like 2 ounces. Well, actually 2-ounce cup, but not by weight. It's just, you know. But I think you use about 1 to 1.5 of these in here for your glitter. So whatever color combos and things like that you're doing. And if you guys have classes, things that you want to learn, please let me know. I do have a chat group. I don't know how to invite people to it. If somebody does, go ahead and invite people. That's be really cool. Okay, so now we have our purple, which this is my custom mix of purple and stars and stuff. I love this. I called it Salem. It's just so gorgeous. Ooh, don't go in there. That's not what I wanted. And then I'm going to use a little bit of this Purple People Eater by Crafty Cow, which I like this color. It's not like, this is a little smaller chunky. It's kind of like a medium-sized chunky, and I really kind of like that, so I want to add a little purple. And then I have this amazing, this is my favorite, Unicorn Tears. And just a pinch of that, and that's probably all I'm going to get in here. I wanted to do a little bit of this huckleberry, and you know what? Let's just go for it. The heck with it. Put a little bit of that on there. Ooh, yeah, okay. Now a tap. I will try, hun. I will try to find it for the burner. The cups I definitely will. Now you guys know UV epoxy, so UV epoxy is what I'll be using to seal this. It's amazing. If you do not have it, get it. It's fantastic. I have honestly used a couple of different ones. I had for the ages. I just refused to do UV epoxy. I hated not UV epoxy, like UV epoxies. I just didn't want to do it. And then of course I decided that I wanted to do some of the toppers and things like that. That I knew I was going to need to have like a UV epoxy for. So I went to, because our tumbler epoxy group did not have it. I'm putting a few more unicorns in. Our tumbler epoxy group did not have their UV epoxy out. And actually, there hadn't even really been any word about UV epoxy at that point that I was aware of. So I went to another company and I got their UV epoxy, which so many people were like, oh my God, this is like so good. I love this stuff. It's great. So I bought it. And I got their little light that went along with it. And it was cute because it kind of had like a rainbowy sort of flashy, you know, splashy thing on it. And I thought it was, oh, wow, this is really awesome. So the first thing, I went to use it. I opened it up and the smell knocked me over. I was like, oh my God, this is gross. I ended up with a migraine. And I do get migraines. And then the fight with getting it to dry. And I waited, 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 and I waited. And I tried to get it to dry, and it wouldn't dry, no matter what I did. And I had like a really thin coat on. It was still like tacky and sticky and whatever, because the light wasn't powerful enough to do it. You know, when I go on and I say, hey, I'm having a problem with this product, how do I fix it? Because I don't understand. And it's not like I'm a rookie. I don't, you know, I deal with stuff all the time. And people were like, oh yeah, that happens. Just put it in the sun. And it was kind of like, okay, so I put it in the sun. And again, it just never really dried properly. So I was like, all right, I'm done with this. And then tumbler epoxy came out with UV epoxy. And honestly, I was on the fence about it. I was kind of like, okay, I don't know. And, but I figured, you know, Beth is an artist and she's, you know, they're not going to put out like a junky product just to sell it. They want to have something that artists can use. I got it. I used it. I flippin' love it, guys. I love it. It is so worth it. Their light is amazing. Like, the light is amazing. So if you do not have it, they sell it in a small, so the kit comes with a small bottle, and this is 8 ounces. And then the light comes with it, you know, in the kit. It's totally worth it. It is totally worth it. Like, get it. Get it, get it, get it. You can use my code on there. Get a little money off. You know, if you're a new customer, you get 10%. If you're an existing customer, you get 5% off. And, you know, 5% can be a lot. Plus that they always have free shipping, which will save you a buttload of money too. So that's it. Okay. So here's all my glitters in here. I think I kind of really wanted some more green. But let me start adding my fluid and see where we're at, because I don't know. All right, so now I have all my glitters in here. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back in. Where did I put my cup? There's my cup. And I'm going to do, again, I'm going to put an ounce And I always measure this way. And the reason that I do this is so that, well, first of all, so that I can tell you how much to use, because, you know, like, that's always nice to know. I really want some dark green in here, though. I really, really, really do. Okay, we're going to do that. We are going to do that. Let me get the dark green. Actually, I can use... I was trying to be all efficient and stuff and put... Yeah, here. I'm going to add some more of this. So normally this is how people do it. Without that little tapey barrier. Oh boy. So you put it on the top. And now you got to be careful. You can't do the tappy tap, really, because your glitter is going to go everywhere. So I totally recommend doing the tape off. I just really wanted more of that greeny blue color in there because the red really overtook the whole thing. The tapping does two things. First of all, it gets it to go down the hole, plus that it kind of knocks it off to the side, so that it's not all congested here at the right underneath this hole. You do need to have a fast setup like UV epoxy, yes. So you want the UV epoxy with the light. AUV, you know, whatever. If you don't, I mean, we're in the tumbler epoxy group, so we're only talking about tumbler epoxy products. Okay, so that's all in there now. All right, now we'll go back to filling. Whoopee. I wish I had gotten another bottle of this while I was at the pharmacy. I mean, I'm going to look to see if I can get like a large mega bottle of it. And if I find it, I will post you guys a link. Now, of course, as always, the more that you use of the glitter, the less oil that you're going to need. So we may very well end up needing less than 4 ounces here. I tried a funnel. That was a mess. I do like doing it with the pipette because it gives me control so that I'm not getting this baby oil all over everything. And I really like the baby oil, and that's the only thing that I will use in mine. So if you want to, guys, want to go mess around with glycerin and water and glue and all that stuff, well, have at it. But just keep in mind it can mold. And distilled water is what you need. Not just, you don't use tap water. You need distilled water. But again, you still run the risk of molding. So. Okay, so we're at our 2 ounces. Okay, so there's our 2 ounces. What I'm doing now is I'm not really mixing it. I'm trying to let air bubbles that had fallen, that were way down here, kind of come up. Because if you have an air bubble, what it's going to do is it's going to prevent, it's going to take up space. So we're going to need to let this sit for a bit. Usually at this point, I will put in 1 more ounce and then I leave it sit for a little while. Just so that any air bubbles, because you know it's glitter and it's going to come up like the little air bubbles. And if you look at it, you can actually see little air bubbles rising up. And that's what you want. You want to get all the air out. So here's our 3rd ounce. Perfect. I'm going to have enough to do this cup at least. I love making these though. I just think they're fun. And I love the idea of being able to put the permanent vinyl on the outside to decorate it, you know, with a name or, you know, like whatever, like the beach one I want to do. I want to put like palm trees and stuff like that. And I want to use like, I want to do 2 actually. I want to do one with the sunset theme, and then I want to do one with the regular blue beachy theme. I think that'll be really cool. You could pour this in, but honestly, I found it made a terrible mess. So that's why I used the pipette. I actually kind of also took one where I cut off the top and I put this in down the side a little bit. And then I took the bottle of baby oil and I flipped it over and I was dispersing it that way. That's a crapshoot. It worked really good for a bit, and then it just made a mess. So I'm like, no. If you guys have any questions, let me know. Okay, so that's our 3rd ounce. Our 3rd full ounce. So here we are to this point. And you can see the air bubbles that are around the top. Really liking that color combo. That red and that orange. I sort of want to make one with just this red and the orange in it and the yellow. I think that'd be really cool. Like a fireman's theme kind of one. I had just a few more of these little unicorns that were sitting on a plate, and I really didn't feel like trying to get them back in the bag. How many of you guys do that too? It's like, oh, it's just a little more. I'm just going to kind of get it in here. Of course, my mistake was I didn't clean the top of my tumbler, so there was a little drop of baby oil in there, and I have baby oil all over me. You don't need to add water to mineral oil, and baby oil is mineral oil, actually. So you can use straight mineral oil, but usually that's more expensive than baby oil. So I use the unscented. Well, I try to get the one that, you know, like isn't fancy scented or anything like that. Most baby oil does have a little smell to it. I don't know. I guess because people think that babies need that. But yep, just straight up baby oil. This stuff works great. No molding. Super good. You don't want, I like I said, I don't want to put any water in here because it does run the risk of molding. Also, when you're doing, make sure you tap your glitter away from your hole. Like, try to get it away from your hole. All right. So there's a lot of glitter in here. There's a lot more than I normally would have put in. So, but this is all pretty much chunky glitter. There's very little fine glitter in here. Okay, so let's do put a half of an ounce. So now we have 3 full ounces. Now we're going to do a half an ounce because I don't know where it's going to fill to. And now once I get it just below where I don't know, whatever the second bottom part in here is, I'm going to let that sit for a minute. Because I want that air bubbles to come up. Also, when you're using the pipette, if you squeeze slowly, you're going to get much less air going into your mix, which is good. Okay, so that was 3.5, so we are going to need a little more. The other reason that I put at the very beginning, you saw me putting the oil in here. And then I proceeded to talk and stuff like that for a few minutes. I was actually waiting to see if this was going to leak. And that's another really great way because, you know, if you have a leaky seal, that's a pain, and you want to get that sealed up before you start adding anything. Okay. Okay, so here's my other half ounce. So this will be a total of 4. And you're going to get, for one of those bottles, which is, this was the 14 fluid ounce size, I got 3 tumblers out of that. And I think that was about like $5.50. Okay, so now we're at that point that I had mentioned that we want to let this set for a minute. I still have 5 milliliters left of my my baby oil for the 4 ounce mark. Now again, I'm going to say you may need a little more, you might need a little less, depending upon how much glitter you put in to your cup. So we'll leave this sit a minute. You can tap it. Because we're going to fill this thing all the way. Because what happens is even like, this is the most bizarre thing ever that I thought was, okay, so here I have my cup here, and I'm doing my oil, I'm putting it in and stuff like that, and it looks full, right? It's like, even, you know, like you're putting it in the bottom here and you're thinking, oh my gosh, that's super full. It's super full because it's full, you know, like there'll be an air bubble, which basically you can't ever get out of there, which is fine. But you think, okay, that's going to be full. And then you flip the cup over and there's like a gap, like, yo, on there. And it's like, well, how does that happen? I mean, I don't even know how that happens. But that's why you have to wait, and why you... So what I'm going to do is I'm going to block this up with my finger, or my thumb. My thumb's not big enough. Take the finger that fits the closest to the size of the hole. And then what we're going to do is we're going to flip it and hold it. And you see how much there is there. We need to get some of that glitter to move. And these are all troubleshooting things that people will experience. I have to break that seal because all this glitter needs to move down in order to get that air bubble out of there. So you're just going to sit there and rock it back and forth and get it to move. Yeah, it's kind of hard because you got to hold your finger over it. You can see the air bubble that's there. Now, a way to avoid that from happening is as you fill, you shake it and you mix up your glitter rather than letting it all just settle. You can also temporarily seal the bottom of it with hot glue and then let it get the air bubble out that way. So as this comes down, I'm actually holding it here. You really can't see it, but the oil is touching where the glitter is. So it's moving the glitter down. Yes, that's exactly what I do, Shamra. I add some oil, and then I put in the glitter, and then I add more. You can do it however you want. You can put some glitter in, add some oil, put some more glitter in, add some oil. You want to make sure you clean the top of this so that you're not getting oil stuck on your glitter, because it isn't that there's anything wrong with it. It's just, boy, is it a pain to get it to move. If there's oil in that glitter, it just sort of seems to want to bind to the plastic. I'm doing this so y'all learn about this, because this can happen, and then here you are thinking that it's full, and you go and you seal it and you do your thing, and you have this ginormous, like your oil is only halfway up your cup. That's because the glitter is taking up space and it's blocking the oil. Each time I do this, I swirl it around kind of like in a little circle. What it's doing is taking the oil and it's moving it. Just make sure you keep that finger right over that hole really good, or you're going to end up with a mess. And believe me, you don't want that. There's nothing harder to clean up than baby oil. Well, maybe Kool-Aid. That's harder. You see how much air there is? It's down to like there. And I'll continue to do this. It's already broken off of here. Now I want to get some of this red gone. And then once that's done, then we can check again and see how much more oil we need to put in. Oh, that's awesome, Kara. Yeah, those are fun. Those are really fun to do. Peekaboos are fun. See the big air bubble? I see a lot of frustration with people that make these, and they'll post pictures or whatever and say, what did I do wrong? It's like, you didn't do anything wrong. You just you basically burp. By doing this, what we're doing is we're burping the air bubbles out. Because all this little air gets in between the glitter. This did not quite give me the effect that I wanted. I'm a little sad about that, but I still think it's going to look really cool. Okay. All right. I think that's okay for now. Now, when I do this the last time and I flip it, what I want to do is I'm going to put it up this way slowly. And I'm hoping that all these air bubbles that are in here will just come out. There's a lot of little ones too, but those little ones are usually, they pop pretty fast. So you hold it like this and you let some of those air bubbles pop. I'm watching the air bubble come up. And now I need to shake it again because the glitter comes down. It comes back in over that second ledge and it gets caught up around the hole. So I don't want that around the hole. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this. Now, you saw that I was full. Now see how much space I have in my cup? I had filled it all the way up. And now I'm down to here. So that means that's good. That means I got a lot of air bubbles out. But we still have some more to go. So if you have questions, feel free to ask. All right. So we have 4 full ounces in here. We are going to need a little tiny bit more, but we're going to let this drop down a little bit. So I saw that when I filled it the first time, and then I tapped it, and I did the air thing, and I shook it up, and then I just added, I think, like 5 or 6 milliliters more of the oil, and now it's back to where I had first started. So, like I said, that's a very important step. And it's one of the things that a lot of people don't know. And I really don't think that a lot of people, like in other tutorials, they don't cover that. So I want to make sure that I did, because I think it's frustrating when you go through all the motions, and then you seal it up and you've got this big, huge air bubble. And it's like, boy, and it, takes up half your cup. All right. So again, there's a lot of fun in doing this. It does have some little hinky bits, for sure, like all things. But it's practice. It's like learning, practicing. You learn how to troubleshoot. Okay, so at this point, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add 5 milliliters to my cup. So I have 4 ounces plus the 5 milliliters. I'm going to see where this takes me. Like I said, I can always add more, but I mean, you want this as full as you can possibly get it. Okay, so now I'm going to start filling my air bubble that's here. So that means you push in your nozzle just a little bit further. And fill it very slowly. And that's going to fill that, like you'll actually see there's a bubble, well, there's a blank space. And you want to get as much of that blank space, let me try and show you. Hold on 1 second. Okay. See the air bubble that's right here? And here's our hole here. What I want to do is I'm going to rotate this around to get that there. And now I'm going to fill it. So I'm going to try and hold it here. And we're trying to reduce that bubble as much as possible. Okay, see my oil is right to the top. I have to move this around. I'm going to have to put you guys back down. I have to put you back down. Okay. Well, I'm sure you will. I'm sure you'll get it. All right. So I'm trying to get where what the bubble was, right by this hole, so I can actually push my little nozzle here into it. But when you get to this point, it's kind of hard because it wants to go all over the place. Because it's right there, it's at the very top, and it is leaking into the top. Come back here. So sometimes if you leave this sit for a while, you'll be able to get more oil in there. And again, like I said, you want to keep filling this up until you just can't get any more in here. And I need like a couple more drops worth. Almost there. Well, I want to see that snow globe when it's done. Make sure you post. That would be awesome. All right, so this is just about ready for its UV epoxy. I'm cleaning off all the oil that came up. It does come up. It's going to come up. So that's why you want to have your alcohol handy. And then we're going to do just a couple more drops. Now you notice when I'm putting this in, I'm holding it up higher. Because by pushing the tip inside, what it will do is it actually takes up space. And therefore you will have an air bubble. Ooh, I got you. I got you. All right, so this has been reduced to one little tiny air bubble. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let that, I'm going to bang it a little bit. Make sure when you bang it, it doesn't slop out. And I think if I get one more drop in here, I think we're gonna be fine. Like literally, it's like okay. And I think she's done. Okay. All right. Now we have our top done. Now we're going to seal it up. All right. So we clean off our edge. Again, this is very full. You're going to see I should plug in my... Now you're going to need your hot glue gun. I just got a hot glue gun. You can use one of the little minis if you want to, or whatever you have. But you do need a hot glue gun. And then you're going to get your epoxy light out, which I don't set mine up. I just use the hat, which is like, hey, it's like a hat for your head. We're gonna need that. And so I'm gonna heat my gun up. I'm gonna heat up my hot glue gun. Do not plug in your plug into your epoxy light until you're ready to use it. This just takes a minute to heat up. Touch the top, make sure that there's no oil on there, because if there is, it's going to repel. The other thing I'm going to do here is I just want to make sure that I got all that air out of there. So I'm blocking my hole, coming up. I think that's going to be okay. Again, if you leave this set for an hour or so, you might find that the air, you're going to get more air bubbles that come up out of your glitter. Again, it's a patience issue. So if you want to be patient and you want to wait for it, because truly, the more air that you get out of this, the more of these bubbles, the fuller that your cup is going to be. Particularly when you're using a lot of glitter. Like this is at least, like seriously, that's a lot more than what I had in there before. It's weird how it all wants to go down underneath the bottom of the cup. But you know, you just shake it and it all comes down. I love the flow on this. Okay, I'm gonna see if I can get my messages back. Oopsie. There we go. Just baby oil, no water. Baby oil and water don't mix, guys. I don't know where that theory came from or who would have ever suggested that. Because it repels. So we don't want that. The baby oil gives a really nice flow, I found. The other thing too, guys, is when you use your glue sticks, make sure when you're doing one of these, make sure that you have like new clear glue sticks. The older the glue sticks get, they'll actually turn yellow. So when you seal your cup, you will see that your glue is like a yellowy color, which is not very appealing. All right. I am going to lose my laptop because my battery is crapping out here. But I'm going to try and look at questions here if you guys have any. So, okay. So, Sheila, yes, it's just baby oil. Just cheap baby oil. I don't get the stuff with like, that's highly, this does say that it's mineral oil and fragrance. You could just use straight mineral oil. It's essentially the same thing with no water. All right, so my laptop has officially crapped out, so we're on the phone, and so again, if I miss your question, please re-ask it. I don't know why this is doing this too. It keeps scrolling weird. So the last comment that I see is Sheila that said just baby oil. So if there's something after that, I don't see it. Yeah, like vegetable glycerin is a nightmare. I absolutely did it twice, and I was like, I hate this stuff. And again, like I said, even using distilled water, you do run the risk of mold. So no problems with baby oil. Okay, so I have this is set. Now I'm just gonna, so what I'm doing now is to make sure my hands are very clean and dry. Alcohol my fingers. Dry, and I'm going to rub the top of my cup and make sure there's no baby oil on there. Right over where the hole is. And it's dry. Okay, so now we're going to take, and we're going to come right around the edge, making sure that our glue is good and hot. I'm going to come around my edge like so, touching my sides, and this is going to sink in a little bit. And now I'm just going to fill up my hole. Crap. I totally did not do what I wanted it to do. Ha ha. Okay, let's put a little glob of glue on top. I'm going to let that cool off for a second because it's hot. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to press it down. As soon as I can get near it. Because hot glue is hot. Actually, I'm going to use a... So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually take and I'm going to just press this down. I'm going to spread it while it's still hot, and I'm going to get rid of any excess. Pressing this into, getting this into the hole. You're going to feel the baby oil coming up. The baby oil comes up because you put glue in the hole. Okay, now we're going to let this cool off for a minute. And then we're going to clean the top again. Yes, there's lots of cleaning. It's kind of like like in the operating room. Here we are, we're always washing our hands and always cleaning and whatnot. Okay, now, clean my fingers. I'm going to get a medicine cup, clean medicine cup, not the one with the baby oil in it. So those we're going to move away. And we're going to get a clean medicine cup. We are going to get a little bit of our UV epoxy. All you're doing is putting the glue in the hole, hon. That's it. Just, I'll do it again, but let's see, the hole's already sealed. I'm going to take about hold on, 2 milliliters-ish. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix some glitter in there. And I always put the cap back on my UV epoxy. I don't use my tips. Yeah, it's just cooling. So I'm going to flip this around again. Okay. So, see that? Okay, so this was the cup that I did first that had the, like, it's almost like a burn, the singe. The other cup that I'm planning on was going to show you is going to be like this, and it doesn't have that much of that, and you won't see that. You could basically warm that off too if you wanted to. But all I did was as I took my hot glue gun and I came around the edge here, and then I put a glob in the middle and it was puffed up. And then I let it cool for a couple seconds so I could touch it, pressed it down into the hole. And then I'm going to end up probably doing it again. You can see here, see how it comes down. Ah, bloody bubbles. See, they want to dance. Hold on, give me a second to get it out of the way. There we go. Okay. See, the glue comes down into, damn it, comes down into the oil, which it's not avoidable. It is not avoidable when you're doing that, because you're taking an empty space. and then you're trying to fill that empty space, so of course it's going, you know, gravity works, it's going to fall down. What I do suggest that you do is make sure that that seal is tight, and this is not, I just touched it and the oil came out, so I'm going to reseal this again with a little bit more of the hot glue. And then I'm going to UV epoxy it, because there's a little hole in here. Because I had a little piece of glitter. A little piece of glitter came up as I was pressing it down, and it made a little tiny hole. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a little bit on the top here where it was. This glue stick is old, and so therefore it is starting to turn yellow, which means that I need to heat up my glue stick and squirt it all out. Okay, now I have a little bubble on the top. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little silicone spatula, and I'm going to pull it into the middle, and then I'm going to kind of press down and swipe away, because I want to get rid of all this extra glue. I'm only plugging a hole. Yeah, that glue stick needs to go. I have 2 glue guns, and I grabbed the wrong glue gun. So again, remember what I was saying earlier when I said make sure that your glue is not yellow, that your glue is clear, or it will look like crap when you're done. Not kidding. Okay, now it's not doing that. All right, so I got the hole plugged. I wish there was an easier way to do this. Okay, so I replugged it. It's not as pretty as it was, but that's okay. Oh, sorry. Got the hand tremor there. It's flat, but it's kind of got like an icky little thing going on here. So what I'll do is, now that it's cool enough and I can touch it, I want to pull that off of there. You're not going to really see this though when we're done. Let me try this, guys. I'm not going to be able to see any questions though. Okay, let me try this. Okay. I think you guys can see, right? Can somebody let me know? Can you guys see the bottom of the cup? Because I can't really see the questions, and because I'm actually looking at the screen right now. So, but I wanted to put you guys up so maybe you could see. Yeah. What's it say? Yes, yes, got it. Yes. Okay, good. Oh, damn this. Yeah, Facebook. Suck. Told me I had to rotate my device. Okay, so now we're going to clean the top of the cup again. Yeah, I know. It's a pain. We're going to clean the top of the cup and get all that baby oil off of there. Because as we know, epoxy does not stick to things. We want to clean this up all nice. I press down. What I'm doing is I'm pressing down and making sure that as much of this glue as possible goes down this hole. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here carefully with my blade, and I'm going to trim on the outside of the cup. Now you'll also notice here that this is my air bubble. My air bubble was way smaller than that before I started doing it. All right, I don't need my glue anymore. So I need more. I gotta get a power strip. See if my hubby has a spare. Okay, so now what we're going to do is I've plugged in my cord for my UV light, but I am not plugging my UV light into the back of the machine yet until I'm ready. All right, now this is a little bit of UV epoxy. This is what did I say I put in here? I don't remember. This is about 3 milliliters in here. And what I want to do is I'm going to put this on the bottom of my cup so you don't see, first of all, this ugly hole. And secondly, I think it makes it look nicer on the bottom of the cup. So what I'm going to do is I've got my little purple mix here. And I'm going to put in a pretty decent amount. Not a ton, you know, like, can you see? Just a little. And I kind of love this color. I love this color. This is like one of my favorite colors. So this mix is my own personal mix. It's but this is called Huckleberry by BJ's, and it is just the prettiest. I don't know. It's kind of like a fuchsia-y sort of color. You mix this up really good. Trying to see, can you see what I'm doing? I hope you can see. Okay. Now, okay. All right. So now we're going to clean up our top. I just want to get rid of this extra glue that's hanging over the side. Be careful you don't pull too much or you break your seal. So you don't want to do that. Again, if you're super careful when you're filling the hole, you don't have to do this part, but I'm always kind of glad when things like this happen when I'm doing a live so you can see how to troubleshoot it and fix it. I desperately need to get more of these tweezers. These are like not, they're really not doing what they're supposed to be doing anymore. Okay, so here we are. Once again, I want to check. I want to make sure that I didn't break my seal. I don't have any oil coming up. Press down one more time. All right, here we go. Time to UV epoxy. So UV epoxy is pretty amazing. It is in itself. There's no mixing, nothing that you need to do with it. It's all ready to go. I do like to use a silicone tool. So I love these. I got this from Southern Sassy Sparkles, but they are available all over the place. I mean, you can Amazon or whatever. She did have some left, and it was a really good price for the kit of, I think there's 4 or 5 tools in there. They're all different ends. Super good for, clay work, dotting, mica work, etc., etc. So I really like them a lot. If I don't clean that up right now, I will forget and I will stick my hand in it, and that will not make me happy. Okay, so UV epoxy is all mixed in, my glitter, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some and I'm going to put it on my ugly spot. Now, I'm careful. There's a little ridge that goes around here. I do not want to go over that ridge, and I want to just smooth this out. UV epoxy does not no UV epoxy self-levels, first of all. So you have to put it on really thin, spread it out. So this takes a minute to do. I'm also sitting at a really rotten angle for doing this. The bulk of it is going to go over. You want to check to make sure that you're level. And if you're asking me anything, I cannot say your questions right now, so I'm sorry about that. I'm just going to spread this out. Now this looks a little thicker than it really is because there's a lot of glitter in here. And then once this is dry, I will come back in again with another layer of clear UV epoxy. And we just want to make sure we fill it all up, make sure it's nice and even. Nice bottom on there. I wish I could touch it. It would make it so much easier. I should probably just get some finger cots and do it that way, because I, as an artist and a clay artist and things like that, I work with my hands, and that's how I know. Sometimes using tools makes my job much more difficult. I don't know how you guys feel about that. Again, we want to make sure that we get enough over that glue dot. And again, like I said, we might come in for a second coat. You do want it a fairly thin coat, or it takes a lot longer to dry. I usually dry mine for, I use the 30-second setting because it seems to be more intensified. I'm pushing this away from my edge back into my rim because, like I said, there's that little tiny rim that's there. Okay, I'm going to start here and see where this goes. All right, so now we're going to take our beautiful tumbler epoxy light. I'm going to see if I can do it this way. I don't know if Facebook's going to let me, though. Okay. Oh, bloody hell. There. Okay. And now you can't see. Sorry. Okay, so here's our stuff. It's all spread out. Looks good. All right. So now I'm going to plug in there's a little, what do you call it? Doodah thingy there. You know, like my technical terms. And when you plug it in, your light will go on. Doot. Okay, so it should be zeros. Okay, and now you're going to hit your 30 seconds. You don't need to get in super close, but you do want to be fairly close. So I want to say, do not touch the top, the black part, to this. You always want to have it up above. Eventually I will rig up something that I can, I don't have to sit here and hold it because I'm lazy like that. Does it matter? The hot glue drops down to the inner layer. I don't think it matters. It's going to happen anyhow. So there's really no way to avoid it. In sealing the cup, there's honestly really no way if you're going to use the hot glue. If your edge is very, very clean and you put a super thin bead, you can almost do like a build sort of a thing where you do, where you, make a circle, you let that cool, then you make another circle, and you let that cool. So now this is pretty set. That's at 30 seconds, but I'm going to do it again. If that makes sense, Dorothy. I love this this lamp. This is so cool. I just wish that it had legs, like that was up higher. This is like the best UV lamp that I've ever seen. And compared to the other popularly known, like I said, I do this for 2 minutes total. The other company, honest to God, the stuff stunk so bad I couldn't stand it. It gave me such a horrible migraine and I couldn't get it to dry. And that to me is not worth it. So now I'm going to destash it because I don't like it. I like my tumbler epoxy and my UV epoxy. Okay, so now I'm going to do my last 30 seconds. Now, if your light starts going funny like that, pull the plug on it, put it back in, it will zero out. This doesn't have an on-off switch. So that's the way around it. So if you keep this thing plugged in all the time, it's not going to work right. You have to unplug it and then plug it in when you're going to use it. And normally it doesn't do that after just a couple of times. Usually I can get the whole thing done. And we're done. And then I unplug it and set my lamp carefully off on the side. And that bad boy is all done. It's beautiful. I can touch it. It is warm. So one of the things you do want to do is if you're going to be doing that, you don't want to do it too much. You know, like you don't want to keep heating it and heating it and heating it. Give it a while, let it cool, then come back in and do it again, because if you need to after 2 minutes, because what will happen is it can overcook your stuff. It'll get too hot. But look at that. Now I can still see a little bit of my glue. So, and my top is relatively flat, but I'm going to come back in and I'm going to do another layer. No, this time not blah. God, I can't talk today. I'm not going to put glitter in. I do have a little tiny bit left in here, so I hate wasting it. But I cooked. I had my lamp too close, and my stuff is hard in there. Like, you see, it's all hard. So I'm not using this cup anymore. So what I'm gonna do is, I don't ever cut my tips off of these. I always leave them. I'm just like that because sometimes I don't use product. Ooh, that's a lot. I don't use product very frequently unless I'm doing something. It seems like no matter, like at the time of year, you have, you know, you're making these snow globe cups seem to go really well in the summer and in the winter, you know, like around Christmas time. Okay, so now I have my epoxy. What I'm going to do is, where my gloves at? Little trick, people. Little trick. Okay. It's dripping down the side because my desk is horribly uneven. So let me get this up here first of all. I'm going to clean that off before I hit it with the heat lamp. I'm getting it into the middle. Okay, don't do like Kiri just did, because my desk is, I got to get a level. Okay, so you know, like I would put my glove on. Well, what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to do this. Instead of wasting a glove, and I only need one finger, I'm cutting the finger off of my glove. And then I'm going to put my finger it's like a finger cut, only I don't have any of those. So now I have 4 more times I can use this glove. So I put that off to the side. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my finger and I'm going to rub in. And I'm going to come right off to the edge. Get it all nice and smooth. Make sure it doesn't drip over the sides. Hold it up to the light a second. See, it's nice and smooth. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean off my side. Because if you hit it with your light, then it will set it and then you'll never get it off. I hope you guys are enjoying this today. It's been a lot of fun. Okay, so now my sides are all clean. I want to check over my top really carefully, make sure it's nice and smooth. And now I'm going to hit it with my light again. If you guys have any questions, let me know. We're about to wrap up here. So we're doing 30 seconds. Remember, if you have cleanup of any kind of UV epoxy, you want to make sure that you clean it up before you hit it with your light, because it's really, really hard to get off because it's setting it. So what I do is I just do my alcohol on my paper towel. I go around the edge. I clean it all up nice. And then it's done. That's number 1. Now we're going to do number 2. And I like how this looks on the bottom of the tumbler. I really do. I found that, like, it covers up the glue hole. And that's important to me. Now, it might not bother you, but it bothers me. Okay, and now it's dry. I have one little lump. Okay, it's almost set. So I'm going to do it one more time. Oh, sorry, I did that wrong. Plug it in. Okay. I found that the 30 seconds 3 times dries it really hard and nice. I haven't had any problems. I haven't had any leakage. Haven't had any issues. So that's why I do them this way. And maybe something else works for somebody else. But again, everybody's different and everybody has their ways. So I encourage you guys to try it. I'm going to take it down. I'm going to see what people are saying. Cool. I'm glad you enjoyed it, Jody. That's so good. Okay, now I'm going to take this live. I will move it over to my YouTube just in case Facebook decides to delete it. Please remember that we do have codes available from some fantastic vendors for my students, which you all are. If you watch the live, then you're my student, and that means that you're entitled to use the code, which is great. And so we have BJ's Glitter. We have, of course, Tumbler Epoxy. And whether you're a new or an old customer, you still get a discount. So you can get either a 5% or a 10%, depending. If you're a current customer, it's 5%. If you're brand new and you've never tried it before, then you get 10% off. So look at the bottom of that, guys. It's beautiful. And now the test. Ba, ba, ba. Look at that. Now, when I set this cup down, I will not set it down on this side for a little while. I will let it sit probably overnight before I actually flip it the other way, just because I want to make sure that this dried super good. It feels like it's super dry, and it's okay. I was going to plan to do another cup, but we'll save that for another day because I'm out of baby oil. I only have maybe an ounce left, and we technically need at least 4, possibly a little bit more. Look, we got rainbows. We got little pink unicorns in there. I need like some jazzy little saying, and I want to do printable vinyl. I think that'll be really cute. I think this is a little heavy on the glitter. Personally, I would probably do a little less next time. But I wanted to get all those great colors in there. And I really love it. I mean, I don't know if you can, that's probably going to make it worse. The colors are just so great. In here. I wish I could see the green more. I'm not seeing any. I see the yellow, I see the orange, I see the red, the purple, the blue, the pink unicorns in here, but I just don't see that green. But that's okay. I think I want to do a fairy cup next. I think that would look pretty damn cool. So maybe we'll do that. Okay, so like I said, guys, please, I encourage you, try it. It's really not hard. It does take a while. You know, this took us a couple of hours. But honestly, if you were just doing it and you weren't gabbing away with people, you know, if you weren't sitting there gabbing like I was, then it'd probably take you less time. So the cool thing about these lids that I like is you can totally turn this into like a fancy lid. Okay, cool. Now maybe it's just not mixed up enough yet. Like the glitters aren't mixed up enough that you can really see the green. Because I love that green, that avocado color is just so beautiful. But I think it'd be really cool to do like some kind of a funky topper on these. And I really like these little acrylic tops. I think they're really cool. So you totally could. And totally do it with UV epoxy. And then you don't have to worry about molding and all kinds of weird stuff because people didn't clean their cup right or using that, oh, what the heck's it called? The white stuff there, the spackle, which will mold. Yeah, well, people don't seem to understand that. So you got to cover it. You have to cover it up with epoxy. If you don't cover it up with epoxy, then you're going to get mold. So anyhow, so with this, it came out really good. I do have one little spot on this side that isn't quite level, like when I was spreading out my epoxy. It's not 100%. So what I'll end up doing is lightly sanding the bottom here, and then I'll come back in and I'll do like one more coat. Normally it doesn't take that many coats. You can probably get away with 1, maybe 2, depending upon how big your glue dot hole is, but you can't even see it. Like I'm looking and I don't see it. So, and that was the goal behind it. So I think this looks pretty cool though, but it is a lot of glitter. I would use less next time. But again, it's a learning process, and that's the beauty of what we do is we can do it and we can practice and have fun. So I'll post a link for the cups. They're on Amazon. They're by a company called Cupture USA. So we'll do that. Check it out. And the wood burning tool. Of course, as you know, UV epoxy is available at tumblerepoxy.com. And Kiri 10 is for new folks. Kiri 5 for current customers. BJ's glitter is Kiri 30. You get a nice discount there. Southern Sassy Sparkles. Again, I have a little sheet that I'll post. Gives us a discount. Crafty Cow will be giving us a discount. They're just setting up a new website, so I need to check with Stacy and Jace on that. What else? I'm missing somebody. Oh, for vinyl, we have Broken Like Vinyl. They give us a discount. So yeah, so students, get your discounts in, save some money. So anyhow, I hope y'all have a fantastic day. Looking forward to seeing you all next time. We will be designing and making the B cup. And I'm just going to be teaching how to do this, but then you put your own creative flair into it if you want to. If you do not know, it's going to be a good beginner class for design space. I do not have a silhouette space yet, or a silhouette business yet, which I will be getting because I am frankly fed up and sick of dealing with the Cricut stuff. But this is what we're doing next time. This will be next Sunday. Not 100% on the time. I believe it's at 1, but I'll need to see what's going on. Summertime is weird, and we'll have to see. But I'm pretty sure it'll be, it definitely will be next week. And I hope you all have a fabulous Sunday. Happy crafting, and remember, be kind. All right, guys. Bye-bye.